If you like this video, make sure to visit our Vimeo page and follow us to get the latest update.
Okay, great. So we finished with the two topics of today, that is the automation and the machine learning scenario manager. We learned end to end, how we can modify data sets, how we can load data sets, and how we can generally go through the entire process end to end, right? So and apart from that, now we will be taking the topic of administration, right? So if you can see my screen, I'm just sharing the slides of, yeah. So system administration, right? It's essentially has like 4 or 5 main topics. The first one is system management, right? This is a part of the administration. When we talk of administration, right, we have to care about the users. We have to care about things that are running, right? For example, monitoring. Then we have to see and manage the diagnostics, to repeatedly manage and understand whether our entire cluster is healthy, or if our pipeline, dies prematurely, or if there are, few pipelines that are supposed to run at a specified point, but apparently we don't see them in the list. So administration is a really, a wide part. So we will cover all those topics one by one now. So first of all, let's talk about monitoring, right? So modeler is something which you have already covered. So I would like to start with the monitoring part. So let's have a look at the UI. Let me close this. Monitoring, right? So let me close all tabs to the right. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see, we have a bunch of, pipelines running here. And this is the entry screen where we see, all the analytics on a high level on what the pipeline status is as of now. And so, we have already covered, how you can do a basic level of monitoring via modeler itself, right? The status, whether graph is running, whether it's stopped, but that is available in a bottom pane, right? But what is also available to us is the full-fledged module of monitoring, which is this screen. We can access it from the launchpad. And here, if you see, this gives, a bird's eye view of what has been recently executed and what has successfully completed. And the other thing that is running, there is nothing running as of now. And the runtime analysis, which gives us, with time also, with with a timestamp of when it was running, which pipeline died when. So all those things we can see here.
Yeah, we can see, Venkat.
Okay, so we were in the DI administration, right? So Ganesh was talking you through the DI administration portion, and let me put it in the presentation mode. So what we will be seeing from now is we'll just see the DI administration. We will see the policy management settings. We will see the user creations, and then we will see how to move the files from the user workspace to the tenant workspace. And then from there onwards, we will see the monitoring capabilities within SAP Data Intelligence, right? And then once that is done, then probably we'll move on to the leftover pipelines that we are yet to see. And if still some time persists, then probably I'll also walk you through the installation process, how it has to be done, so that in case if any internal environment has to be set up from your side, so you are well equipped with the process, that you are well equipped with the installation process, and you can take care of it on your own, right? So that would pretty much cover our end-to-end DI training, and we'll start with the DI administration now. So as you see, we have system management, monitoring the modeler, DI diagnostics, and then file management, right? So system management. So what is it? What is a system management, right? So we will be managing, the entire DI system using the system management. That is the place where we will be able to create users, assign policies, and all those administration activities we'll be able to do. Now, what are all different activities apart from the ones that I had said? We will be able to manage users' secrets. We'll be able to create and delete application instances. We'll be able to launch applications, right? And we'll be able to configure the applications and manage the files. Now, what do you mean by applications here? So we saw DI as a single application, but what do you mean by creating the application, launching the application? So what does that mean actually here? So what is happening here is, as you are very well aware of, the Kubernetes and the Docker concepts, right? So now each of every feature that you see here might be an image, or it could be a combination of multiple images as well. So they are bundled into one application and it resides inside the system management, right? Say for example, if your pipeline modeler is not working, okay, then what you have to do is you just have to you can recreate a new instance, or you can launch a new pipeline modeler application and then delete the older one, right? So sometimes when you do this, again, a new pod will be generated at the backend, and then your modeler will start working, right? So there are various applications which you can launch it. I'll just show it to you in the system management so that you will have a good understanding then, right? So now, an instance of an application launched from an application management can be accessed only by the user who started it, right? So if you are the one who has created the application, only you will be able to have the access for it. Other users will not be able to have the access for it. Now, you can have multiple instances of the same application. So I can have 4 or 5 pipeline modeler applications that can be spinned up. Right now, it can also be terminated if I don't want, out of 5 pipeline modeler applications, if I do not want to have 5 instances, rather than I need to have only 3, then I will be able to delete the other 2 instances. Now, these applications can be configured only by the tenant administrator, right? Remember, not all the users will be having access to this, and then only the user who has the administrator privileges, they will be able to do all these administration activities, right? Tomorrow, if I have created a user for you and then you're not able to launch an application, then probably even you're not able to see that screen, you're not authorized to go to the screen, then it means that you don't have the admin privileges to do that, right? You have to request for admin privileges and then you have to do that. So I will be demoing it. Probably let me go through the slides first, and then I'll be demoing the all the administration activities. So whatever we are going to discuss now, right? So we have the data preparation, metadata, and memory. So the default memory usage is somewhere around 8 gigs for the metadata catalog and 4 gigs for the preparations, right? So what we will be able to do here is, as I had told you, we will be able to configure the system management. We'll be able to configure the secrets, right? Now, how do you set these memories? Probably we go to system management, then under the applications, we'll be able to see the applications configurations, and then we will be able to make changes in case if you require additional memory, right? So I'll also show you where we can add the additional memory in these places, right? So monitoring of the modeler. So monitoring is also probably one of the facilities provided by data intelligence. So how do you monitor the modeler, and how do you trace the messages? Now, what are all the diagnostic tools that are already available, right? So can anyone give me or walk me through the process of trace messages? Anyone? Can you unmute yourself and walk us through the trace messages? How, in case if the pipeline modeler is not working, then what is it that I have to do? Anyone?
You have options enabled there, right, Venkat? Like, we need to see that, like, on the, modeler, like, tracing level has to be, set.
Right, you're absolutely right, Murli. So when we design the pipeline modeler, right, like Ganesh had told you in the very beginning of a walkthrough of the pipeline modeler. On the bottom of the screen where you will be seeing the status of the pipeline modeler, whether it is running or whether it is stop state, right? So you will have 4 to 5 tabs there, and one of the tab is tracing. As you know, you will have to configure probably whether it is an information trace or warning trace or a debug trace. Just in normal any application development traces, you can set that level, and then you have to you can debug in case if your pipeline modeler is not working. So that is a very good habit. I mean, probably just in case if your pipeline modeler is not working, just switch on and then see what is the issue, and then again switch off, because if you continuously turn it on, then probably it might have an impact on the performance, because behind the scenes it will also be running and it will also be occupying some space, right? So just turn it on whenever you require and then turn it off, right? We will also see few of the monitoring solutions that are that can be integrated with data intelligence, which will be helpful for you to analyze your Kubernetes pods and the status of the containers health, etc., like how your Kubernetes dashboard is there, right? So once you deploy your Kubernetes or Kubernetes cluster, you can spin up your Kubernetes dashboard, and then from the dashboard you will be able to monitor the health of your pods and the containers. So in a similar fashion, we have 2 sophisticated tools here, and we'll just have a walk through it. Even I have not worked much on this particular tool, because I never got a chance to work on these 2 solutions for monitoring purpose. But in case tomorrow in your project requirements, if there is a necessity for you to monitor, then probably I will tell you how you have to use this, right? So that you can get the required information and without searching for the information anywhere. Right. So I was talking about the 2 tools, right? So one is Grafana and the other one was Kibana. So these 2 are the 2 solutions which are tightly integrated with our data intelligence. Now, there's one more important trivia or fact is we have 3 types of installation, right? So one is data intelligence core setup, another one is data intelligence extended, and another one is data intelligence full stack. Now, what is the difference between 3 different editions is, the core edition or the basic editions will have everything that is required for any customer to get started with data intelligence, right? Now, the DI extended edition is nothing but your DI core plus your diagnostics, right? That is Grafana and Kibana, which will be integrated with DI. So in case if monitoring or diagnostics is also an important consideration for you, then you have to go for the extended edition, right? Now, the third one is DI full stack edition, so which is nothing but your DI core plus your diagnostics plus your VORA, okay, which comes with your DI. In case if you have to use VORA for in-memory analysis and all those stuffs, you can go for the full stack. So tomorrow people will say, I have installed my data intelligence, but I'm not able to use my Grafana or Kibana. Then this could be the case, because they would have gone for the core setup, but they wouldn't have gone for the extended setup, which is actually the core plus diagnostics, right? So now, what is it that you can achieve, right? So with the data intelligence diagnostics, you will have an in-depth insight into system and application metrics, and then you'll have an in-depth information in collecting all the Kubernetes system metrics for DI components, right? And then your resource metrics will also be exposed, like how much memory usage, how much CPU usage is being consumed, or what is the network limitations. So all these technical informations will be available in your tool like Grafana. So I will just open it. I'll just open the Grafana, and then I will tell you, where you can find all those information. So, and then we have something log aggregation framework, which is very specific to Grafana. Now, in case if you have to debug at the pod level or the container level, then these log records will be stored, and then you will be able to analyze these logs as well. So that option also is provided, right? Now, so this is, we have the external identity providers. So what is happening here is probably what is the authentication mechanism that we are using here with respect to on-premise system is during the installation, we will be giving a normal tenant administrator username and then the password, and another one is the system tenant and then the system password, right? So now along with these two, if you go for the SAP DI cloud version, then these identity mechanisms are automatically handled by the SAP Cloud Identity Management if it is a DI cloud, right? But whereas if it is for on-premise, we don't have a cloud identity management because it's not a cloud solution. Now, what are all the different usernames and passwords that we have provided here? One is for our ingress configuration, right? So when I say ingress configuration, during the installation, you have to expose your DI to the outside world. So in that cases, when you have to configure an ingress controller, probably that configuration file should have the required authentication and the permissions to expose your DI to the outside world through which we will be able to access, right? So now that URL, whatever you're seeing, right, that big URL, that AWS URL with the elastic load balancer, so it is configured via an ingress load balancer only, and probably underlying the ingress load balancer, the authentication mechanisms will be handled based on the deployments that you had done there. Now, we have something called as Kubernetes configuration file for the DI cluster. So whenever you deploy a Kubernetes cluster and then you use a jump post or a jump box to access that particular Kubernetes cluster, then a secret will be automatically maintained between your jump post and the Kubernetes cluster so that your jump box knows which Kubernetes cluster that I have to target to, right? And so these are all pretty much it about the identity manager, right? And file management, as I had told you, in the file management we have user workspace, and then we have user workspace, and then we have tenant workspace, right? So in whatever you are doing now will be local to that particular user, right? So if I log in with Venkat username and password, whatever I do, it will be local to my user. Now, if another person like Ganesh logs on to the username with his username and password, he will not be able to see whatever files that I had created. But in order for me to achieve a collaborative working, so I will have to move my user files to the tenant workspace, so that when I push my files from my local user workspace to the tenant workspace, then it will be accessible for everyone whomsoever is having access to that particular tenant, right? So I will also show you that in action. Yeah, so okay, so this is with respect to the policy management, and we can have different policies, right? As I had told you, when I was also talking about connection management and metadata management, right? So I think Murali, you also pointed out a right question. So in case if I want to block a user, right, from uploading the uploading the files to the required connection, is it possible? Yes, I will show you a place where we will be able to maintain the custom policies also, but I think the custom policies are only enabled for the connections at this moment, not for other applications like Metadata Explorer. So you have to go with the default policies, whatever is given by the data intelligence.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, that would be great if you show that.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. Yeah. So this is, we have something called as a VCTL. This is the command line client in case if you have to download and work with the DI system management. You can also download the VCTL, and then you have to use the login as VCTL login, and then your system management URL, tenant, and the user, right? So once you do this, you'll be able to log in via the command line interface as well, apart from the GUI, whatever SAP DI also has to offer. But I think this VCTL, we don't have it in on-premise, and then I think it is available only in cloud. But let me check that, Murali. Because on-premise, I have never come across this VCTL, probably in DI cloud, right? I will also show you the place where you can download the VCTL from. Yeah, just Ganesh, correct me if I'm wrong. On-premise also VCTL is there?
Yeah. It is there. So the purpose of VCTL is to do everything, all system management activities via CLI only, without using any of the without accessing the browser.
Correct. Correct, but you remember in one of the patches or something, we did not see that VCTL tool, right? Only in DI cloud we were seeing, correct? Or it
but
could be a patch version or something, some issue with the patch, right?
yeah, I think that was because it was not unpacked. It was packed within that. So only once you unpack and apply the patch, right, it will, you can see that. So I think it is there in both, and it helps you. You know, it allows you to manage your
Okay,
clusters or any
okay,
system
okay.
management via pure command line. Yeah. So from logging in to creating, adding solutions or checking each and everything which we see, right? Adding a user, adding a policy, creating a policy, deleting users,
Mm-hmm.
right? All the activities which you see on the UI can be done from here as well. You can even schedule. You can even schedule pipelines by giving the graph ID. So all those things you will be able to do.
Okay, so you will take over from here, or how you want me to continue?
No, no, I can take over.
Okay, okay. Then I'll just stop my sharing.
Perfect. All right. So I think we are at which slide, Venkat?
15.
Yeah, I was just, I just walked them through the administration capabilities, policy management, and user
Okay.
workspace, file tenant, and all those stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Have you shown on the UI as well?
No,
No,
no, no,
right?
no, no.
No.
I was about to show them after the presentation, but
Okay.
you can take it over from here.
Sure. Right. So yeah. So another special thing is, by default, the URL to access system management externally is not exposed. We have to manually expose it. Right? There are like few endpoints. There are a few endpoints of any DI, right? So one endpoint which we all know, which we have seen, is this endpoint, right? This endpoint. This endpoint reveals the GUI of DI, which we have to use. But apart from this, there are around 3 to 4 more endpoints, right? One of them is the system management URL. This is a special URL which has to be done, which has to be enabled, and then you will be able to access. By default, it is not open for security reasons mainly, right? You want to have minimum number of things which are exposed, right? So this is exposed only on request and only after certain settings are done on the Kubernetes cluster pods, right? And apart from this, right, there are a couple of more things which are which are on demand exposed. One of them is the Prometheus. Prometheus is nothing but it manages the logs of Kubernetes in DI. It's an open source, native. It's a cloud native software package which is there with Kubernetes. So that also you have to expose. So now, if you ask, why do I need to see about logging, right, externally? So there is a suite of applications which are known as APMs, right? Application Performance Management. There are many software providers which give such a software out there, right? And what they allow you to do is that all these logs, right, the metrics, CPU utilization, pod statuses, memory consumption, any jobs which are running, batch files which are failing, which are giving some output. So all those are collected in one GUI, which you can then search or filter or manage externally, which we call as an application performance management tools, right? So for that reason, this is one more URL which is exposed. But again, you would have to go down to the Kubernetes level, enable that, and then only you can do it. By default, none of this is exposed, right? So apart from this, let's talk about certificates. So this is something which we covered, I think, in day 1 or day 2, right? So if you are connecting to systems which need certificate authority, right, which are based on SSL, and you need to have those certificates. So there are two ways you can import a certificate. So one way is via connection management certificate section, which I will show today. And the other thing is that via the command line, right? Via the command line, there is a folder called CA, that is certificate authority. You can import the certificate files directly into this CA. You can copy it via tools like WinSCP, right? Via those tools, you can just take the certificate, put it here, and then important thing is you have to restart the pod. The certificates are never picked up in runtime. Only when you restart a pod, then only the certificates will be read into memory, and then you would be able to use them. You don't need to do anything extra for calling them, right?
Based upon the connection, it
So
automatically takes.
when we restart the pod, mean then we should know that which pod it is, right?
I will show you. I will show you. I will show you. The application itself. See, system management pod I have written here because this corresponds to when you are manually importing, right? Once you're importing through UI, what do you have to do? You have to restart the instance of the system management, so that when it restarts, it picks up.
Got it.
Even when we do via UI, right? It places the certificates in CA folder only. This is for the UI level. This is on the CLI level. So the funda is the same. They both get copied into CA folder, and they're picked up only when a new instance starts, right? And as I said before, if a user is using it for the first time or after a day, you know, these pods die eventually. I mean, if you don't use it for 5 or 6 hours, Kubernetes will automatically kill them by monitoring the metrics. If there is 0% consumption, 0%, there is no incoming, outgoing requests, these pods are automatically killed, right? So if you import certificates today, if you come in the morning and, you know, start to write a pipeline, it would automatically have everything. You don't need to worry, right? So, and this also holds true for, you know, if you have a chain, right? If you have a chain of certificates from one system to another system, then to another system, then you have to import all of those certificates, not just the one system, right? It might be it needs further requests downtown into further applications, right? So we need to have the entire certificate chain, not just one which we are connecting to, right? So SDL, I think we have already discussed this. SDL is a special connection type. This is, it's nothing but simple object stores, but this is a must, you know, for using ML and Jupyter Lab. So this must be there. We have already covered this. Let me move on to the next one. This is again regarding the SDL only. I have mentioned this again because this is really important, because the structure has changed in the new version, right? And only a single connection should exist of DI underscore data underscore lake. This should be the exact connection ID. You cannot have more than one connections of the same connection ID, right? So apart from that, let's go on to the next one. So, you know, we have discussed this at length, but I would like to, you know, reiterate that there are certain connection types which, you know, require more authorizations, right? You cannot just use any operator by giving a few credentials. Examples of those are, which we have also covered in our training, is the ABAP one, is the BW one, right? And the table replicator one, where you must be having create table, create trigger, create procedure, create sequence. All those things should be there, right? So there are certain connection types which you cannot just use. You have to prepare the source system in order to do anything on those, right? For example, if you're using a HANA DB connection, right? I have put one example here. If you're using HANA DB connection, so what is needed to extract just metadata, right? Let's see in the next slide. So if you are, you want to, you know, extract things from calc view. So these are all the grant statements which you should execute. Grant select on schema name to connection user. So connection user is the user which we put as credentials once we create a connection, right? So this is the user. So that user should directly have these permissions, else it won't work, right? Which is why, you know, it is a bit of a, there is a lot of hard work involved for bringing systems to demo with DI, you know, for this training. So you can see not just this, but many more, right? For example, if you want to even access a HANA table, you cannot just use HANA client operator. You have to fire these 3 statements for HANA table or SQL use. You have to run these for the specific connection user. Every tenant has a different user, right? And so you would have to do it multiple times for multiple tenants, or for multiple tenants, yeah, not the main DI. So when you see, you know, what all connections we created in this training, right? The HANA DB ones, the S4 ones, the SLT ones, all of them, even the SLT ones, we connected to SLT, right? But it was going in turn when we did Mara and all, right? I showed you in the 001 mass transfer ID. Even to connect to SLT will give it back, right? So all the settings of the integration notes of ABAP integration, right, which Venkat covered in detail, and all this was done for this training. It wasn't just like you have something you can use it. No, you need to have a breadth of work, a breadth of stuff that you need to do in order to use any of these systems with DI. This is all because of the security. It might feel cumbersome sometimes, but at the end of the day, if you look closely, it's all related to a better secure connections. There are more actually. I did list all of them. Once you see the connection, you will, if you read the documentation, right? So how do I know there? Yeah.
Correct. One additional information. So probably, see if you try to create a connection to HANA database, right? Say for example, there are 10 schemas or 12 schemas. Now you are using system user to connect to that database. Okay, now your connection is successful. But what will happen is when you try to use the HANA table consumer or HANA client, whatever operator, and then you try to read from some other schema, instead of system schema. Say for example, you are trying to read from Venkat schema. So when you run the pipeline, it will throw an error, right? It will throw an error saying the SQL insufficient SQL privileges. So when you get that kind of error, then this is what it means. You have to provide the grant select privileges and on the required calculation views or the tables that you are consuming, because you are trying to access some tables within Venkat schema from the system user who doesn't have the permission, right? So you have to be very careful in that. If you are using system user as the username and system user as the username, then you have to consume the table from the system schema. If not, ensure that these privileges are there. Yeah. Yeah. So Ganesh, over to you. Ganesh, you are there? Okay, I think he's not there. Okay, so in the meantime, Ganesh comes. So any questions you have till now?
I think we might need to see something before ask some questions on that, I guess.
Okay, no, these are all some of the basic stuffs, right? So,
Yeah.
so for the connection management, because see, this is like you can easily relate it to the connection management that we were working, correct? So we already have the HANA connection, now we have the username and password. But whenever you are trying to use any HANA operators, please be careful that you use either the same schema of the user that you are trying to connect to HANA database, or ensure that these privileges are there. That's it. So these are all from it's like a prerequisite. Right.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And in the
same thing with all other processes that when you work with XSA and all those things, it's just making sure that
exactly
you have that. And then what we are trying to access an object which is related or belonging to some other schema or something, we need to make sure that we have enough privileges being defined before we get access, right? So.
Correct, got it. So the same thing, I mean, what Ganesh was showing you, right? The SDL, Semantic Data Lake connection. So only that is mandatory for working with machine learning. And he also showed you a single connection ID with DI_data_lake, right? So that should be maintained as is. Even if you put a dot or space or something, it will not work. It should be maintained in the same terminology. DI_data_lake. You can ask me why SAP has made like that, but I can tell you frankly, I have no clue. That is the answer.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would have their own based on the development that has undergone for this SAP data intelligence. They would have maintained in such a way that this has to be written like this, right? So yeah, and then we have the policy management, right? So what we will do in the policy management is we will be able to define specific authorizations and distributed service to perform authorization check on object instances, on specific instances, right? So policy, will be visible to normal users. I mean, say for example, you have access to login, right? If you want to view the policies, right? How many policies you will be able to view? Yeah, so you guys have full access, right? So, but even if you go there, if you go inside the policy management, you will be able to see only 4 policies, right? So one is developer policy, one is metadata policy, one is member policy, and another one is admin policy. Only these 4 policies you will be able to see. But actually what is happening is we have lot of other policies which are internal to SAP DI, which will not be visible to other users until and unless you expose them, right? Until and unless you expose them, it will not be visible.
Yep.
We will show you all those steps, and then right, I'll just walk you through the system.
I think the one major thing which you want to do is this administration and then the deployment. Obviously, the sizing, I think, even that you would cover. So it's just think these are 3 main topics that I think that we should want to see it. And then
see, Murali, these are all nice to have topics which we are telling now. It is all nice to have topics. Whatever the core meat, we have already covered it, so you don't have to worry.
No. No, it's not like that. Actually, deployment is something we would like to see, Venkat. So that's something we've been, I'm really waiting to see that actually, because how we are taking it and deploying it. And deployment management is something.
So actually, there are 2 things, right, Murli? So I can take this, Venkat. So there are 2 things, right, in deployment. Can you see my screen, everybody?
If you are in a rush, you go ahead and then maybe.
No, it's okay. I can take 5 minutes. That's not a problem. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I am in the monitoring section, right? I'm in the monitoring section. So there are 2 things which you can deploy, right? There are 2 kind of things which you can deploy in DI. One thing which we covered is deploying via the the machine learning parts, right? The similar that thing we have covered, right? Deploying via the models which were finalized, right? And then accessing them via Postman. That is one form of deploying. And regarding the version management, I also showed that every the scenario manager of both AutoML and the machine learning one, both of them have versioned, right? So you can create new versions, then you can deploy more, and every deployment is linked to a version. And this was also seen in the metric explorer, that every deployment is linked to the version it was created on, right? So that is the versioning and the deployment part, right? The second thing of deployment is what you see in front of you, right? The monitoring part, right? And here, as you can see, this analytics gives me, all that was executed, what is the status, when did it execute. So this gives me an ability to monitor as well as start scheduling. If I go to schedules, right now, nothing is scheduled, nothing is running, right? And this gives me a view of all the users at the entire tenant level, because I and all of you, in fact, all of you are tenant admins at this point of time, which is why this monitoring tile will be enabled for you. If you're not an administrator, you cannot see this tile, right? What you can do is, if I go to schedules, right, there are 0 schedules running. There is nothing running as of now. Ideally, when we want to schedule at the global level, right? Not at the global level, when we want to, sorry, let me rephrase. When we are in the modeler, right? When we run pipelines there, they are only for dev test. They are only for dev test. You ideally should not run, even though you can. I'm not saying you can't, you can, but those are purely for dev test. What is recommended, especially for recurring pipelines, integration, ETL, right? You have to come here. You have to come here. And these 3 gives you a bird's eye view of what is happening in the system, right? It gives you an entire view of what's happening. Instances gives you all the instances that were run and that were alive. And if you come to schedules, right, here you can see scheduler status is inactive. That means nothing is running as of now, nothing at all. And even in analytics, if we can see, there are no running instances, no pipeline anywhere for any user is running, right? If you come to schedules and if you click plus here, right, now we can create a proper scheduling, right? Here we can give the schedule description. Let's give HANA monitor 1, right? And if we enter the graph name, so all the graphs that we created, they live here, It will take a while to open because it will give all the blogs, all the graphs that we have, right? Let's write HANA. It will search. As you can see, it's trying to search HANA monitoring. Maybe I've given some other name for HANA monitoring. So okay, we can take anyone. So let's have the data workflow, right? Now we can tell when to start. 10 a.m. 00, right? We can give time as well. I want to start it at this time, and we want it to end after 3 weeks, right? Whatever time we can put. And another thing is we have just given start and end. Now we have not mentioned the frequency. The frequency is mentioned in the form of cron tab, which we discussed. See cron expression. Every minute, every hour of the day, or 5 minutes after every hour. All this format, I can just probably copy and paste. Every day, every 10 minutes, right? That's all. If I just try to copy this, this is blinking. Yeah. Sorry, I'm giving an expression, not a form, right? That's all. This means this will run every 10 minutes, every day from this to this. Create. Done. I have created. Right? So you can see the status is the pulse that it is already scheduled, right? That's all. And we can pause this, we can all this, show. And if you want to see how much it ran, when it ran, etc., we click on executed instances. Now this has never been executed, right? That's why we see none. So, and regarding the versioning part, right? How do you version? So there are two ways. One way is regarding the machine learning modeler, where we version that. For versioning the pipelines, right? For versioning the pipelines, you have to use Git. There is no other way. You have to use Git. And now you must be wondering, how can I use Git? I can't see anything. So the solution for that is already Git server is installed with DI. You just have to link it. You have to add the hooks and just link the folders here. Everything will be done. If you come to applications, right? Already Git server is there. See, Git server at the tenant level. That's
so
all.
That has been linked already, like the Git server being linked. So we would be able to link that to that server.
Yes, you have to take the details of the server via command line. You see, where it is running. You take those, you create packages there. Sorry, not packages. You create branches and everything there. Then you link your own folders. That's all. I haven't done, Git integration yet, but it can be done. That is the whole reason this Git server is bundled with every DI installation. It is there by default.
Okay. So okay. Yeah, I think I can take more, maybe questions to Venkat. So if you are in a hurry, please go ahead, Ganesh. So we don't want to hold you more on this, and we can follow up with Venkat. So Venkat, there is one other thing which I wanted to generally ask is, which I wanted to see. I think there is a end-to-end flow of it that we were talking about. Like obviously, one is like the data services that we want to see it, which I think there is a pipeline already built, and if you can show it. So think about this scenario again, like how this works, and you tell me whether that how far we can able to achieve, or whether it's maybe something like there might be, if there are any other ways to achieve. You tell me. So today, like we are building this pipeline, right? And it does that like some processes, basically reading the data and then writing into a table and things like that. If I wanted to have a series of steps like this, right? Like I'm saying that like first let's say that I'm perfect orchestration process, right? I'm reading the data from one source and bringing that into our staging area, and then from staging area, before I move, right, basically like I'm going to get the data from like other system, right? I'm bringing that, and then I'm massaging the data, and then I'm pushing it. So there is a various series of steps, and then there are a lot of dependencies within these steps. Okay, one has to happen first before we go to the second step and things like that. So how do we that, what I'm thinking is like in my mind, it's creating a workflow. So basically it's like, the high level workflow, you will see that, and then how we go data transformations, and, you double click it and you can see that actions, for the set of steps. So because you might be creating multiple like pipelines, but then like one pipeline is depending on the other pipeline, right? Kind of, but it's more of a workflow process, right? How do we, do you have anything that's been built to shown that way end to end, or are there any, or what's your view on this, or what's your take on this? How do we achieve this?
Okay. So for your question, right, to answer, there is a operator called as pipeline operator, and which will be used to connect multiple pipelines. But personally, I have not used that pipeline operator. But with that operator, you will be able to connect multiple pipelines, and then you can create a workflow for that, right? Say for probably I can show you that, but I have not worked with that operator. But probably together we can go through the settings, whatever is there, right?
Yeah. That definitely works because we build the two pipelines, right? So right now two pipelines are there, and we try to put together two pipelines together. That would be the way to go, I guess. Probably this all comes under one workflow, right? So we have seen that workflow trigger and then workflow, like end or whatever it is, right? Like, so that workflow gets triggered, but then like, because of that multiple pipelines.
Yes, you're right. See, I mean, the scenarios are unlimited, right? So what you said is one scenario. There could be n number of scenarios, and there could be multiple operators which would cater to that scenarios, right? So you will be able to call, probably based on my understanding, if it is right, if you use that pipeline operator where we will go through the configuration settings, we'll be able to call another pipeline within this particular pipeline operator is what I see it as a functionality, but we can see it, how it is working. Probably I can just go through the documentation and let you know how it is working. And in the meantime, we'll also see other operators like data services flow I had prepared, but I do not have the system. Right, so it's an empty graph, right? So, but I can tell you what is going to happen in that.
Sure.
So in that way, it's just then rest of the things are just configuration settings.
Okay.
Or you just have to maintain the configuration. That's it.
So I will tell you that I think we have a configured. At least I'm not the team. At least I've done that. Okay. But but the thing is, like, it was not working. I think there was some licensing issues and things like that were there at the time. And it was So it was data too. So now,
I just wanted to show you what is that pipeline is all about. That's it. Because even I don't have a data services system because we did not have the time to set it up. Or else, our intention was to show you the end-to-end functionality of data services pipeline. But unfortunately, we did not have the time to set it up. Or else we could have shown you that as well.
Yeah. We'll see that. Yeah, that's.
Let's see, no, Murali, I mean, we had a lot of things in mind, but due to time constraints, right? So we see, initially, whatever we had told you, we are already covered, 10 or 12 plus operators in action, more than whatever we had promised, because that itself, we took some extreme efforts and then prepared everything. So probably for these stuffs, right? If I had some more time, then definitely I would have shown you.
No problem, Venkit. So whatever you could show, that would be great.
Correct. So see, that's what I wanted. See, I wanted to be, very fruitful session for everyone. As much as possible, we are trying to cover, though not exhaustive, but as much as possible, we want to equip everyone, so that you understand everything in DI. All right. So let me. Share my screen quickly. So you have seen all these steps, right? Mandatory authorizations that has to be provided for the connection types, all those things. So policy management, as I had told you, even if you are able to log on to data intelligence, right? So you will be able to view all these 4 policies, right? So you'll be able to view all these 4 policies. One is the developer policy, metadata policy, member policy, and the admin policy. Now, what is the next one? So these are all the default policies that are created with the tenant, right? But this will not be exposed. See, the exposure flag will be set to false. So that is why you will not be able to see these policies in your tenant, right? Oh, let me, So, and within policy management, we have some policies which can be nested also, right? So which can be nested. That is, you can inherit a policy and then you will be able to call that as a nested policy. And then custom policy, as I had told you, it is only available for connection and connection content, right? So let me just give me a second. I will share my system and then we'll have a walkthrough of it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's just that I had to open the things from scratch, and
You have to blame Ganesh on that. So
so no, actually yesterday even I was not feeling well, so that's why I had to drop out in between, and that's why I asked Ganesh to take. So we had some rough timings for this session. Yeah, I'm fine now. I'm all right now. So we had some rough timings. So
yeah, again, you have to go back to Alok for that. So it's not.
Yeah, this is the best possible time. I don't want to miss this timeline as well. So we just thought of completing it. Anyway, we have covered almost 90% of what has to be covered. Just still 10% is remaining, right? So I'm happy in that way that we have covered all the important stuffs.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me resume the sharing. So what I will do is I'll just go to the system management. Right now you are able to see the applications, right? So like Ganesh was explaining, you will be able to relaunch the applications. Like I was also telling you, right? I can relaunch a pipeline modeler application. So these are all the different applications that are available. Now if I search for pipeline modeler, right? Just for an example. Yeah, I just go here. Yeah, and I have the pipeline modeler instance, which is already running. Now, if I want one more instance to run, I will just click on this plus button and another instance will be automatically running. Okay. So if you want to delete it, you will be able to delete it. If you have 5 instances, then you can create 5 instances and then you can delete, the required number of instances. Now we just go to the users and see these are all the users who are all present in the current system, right? And then we just click on that particular user and then we will see. You see, I'm able to view only 4 policies: admin, developer, member, and metadata. It is the case for everyone. You see, even I am an administrator. It is a case with me also. I'm able to see only 4 policies because those are all not exposed and they come. They also come default with DI, but they are not exposed. There is an expose filter which I will show you when I take up the policy management. Right now we have how many instances running. So these are all the instances that are currently running within our DI system. You will be able to see the modeler running, machine learning pod running, and then the data hub flow management, the license manager is running, right? So these are all the different instances which are running currently, and you'll be able to see their version type and then the start time and the type, right? So this is what is all about user management. And how do you create a new user? Let me just quickly go to the users.
So when we go to the services, is that some for that user? What are the services are running? It shows, or just in general, all the instances that is running, it will show.
I think it is for that particular user, because if I spin up another modeler instance, it will show me 2 modeler instances here.
Right? So then do we think we can limit that, like, for certain users can be in one instance and then the other set of users can be
no. This is an administration module. Only administrators will have access to this.
Yeah. Okay.
You go to system management, right? So this entire system management pane, only administrators will have access.
Correct. No, administrators will have access, Venkat. So my question is, like, for example, if there are 2 instances for the metadata modeler, right? Like, so like if I say that like there are certain instances only I can limit to certain users, do you think that admin can do that?
No, it is not user specific actually. So you can spin up 4 instances, 5 instances, 6 instances. It is not user specific, right? So there is no question of assigning it to particular users. It is for the tenant wise, right? Okay. So anyone, even you can use, I can use, anyone can use for that.
Okay.
So yeah, how do you create a new user? You just click on this plus button, username, password, confirm password, and then you're all set. Now let me just click on here. And let me just go to the policy management. Right. So this is the policy. This is you see the exposed tag here. So which means that this particular policy is exposed. That is why we are able to see this. Now, it has been, this has been inherited. Let us see the inherited policies. right? So this has been inherited from connections, all read, connections, all write, system management write, applications, all start, etc. So you will be able to add the rights from the policies also. If you have a policy written, you will be able to add it from that particular policy. That's why we call it as an inherited policy, right? So, but this is the default admin policy which is coming with DI. That's why you're not able to do anything. But let me open the system management tenant and then I will show it to you in some time, right? So let me just try to quickly create a test user and see what we can do with this. Test user, I'll just say, okay, can only alphanumeric test user 1. I'll just say welcome 1. So yeah, welcome 1, welcome 1, create. Right, so now my user is created. Just refresh this. Test user, yeah, sorry. Now you see, by default, I will be having only one policy, that is sap.ds.member, right? I just click on this. Right, so what is the policy that I have? I have something with respect to connection, content owner manage, system access, system management, and then I'll be having connections owner read. So which means that I am just having the member privileges of this particular tenant. Let me just quickly log on to incognito mode, and then I will show you what is happening there. Welcome. So just a second, I'm not able to log on as I. I'm just trying to log on with the new user that we had created, just to show you what permissions that the new user is having, right? So that by default, whenever you create a user, we will be having the member policy. So we'll just go inside that particular default user, and then we will see what is the permission that particular user is having, right? So, right. So I think by default, that particular user is able to see all these tiles. Let me quickly go to connection management and see whether what can be. Okay. So they have the permissions to create the connections, I guess. Let me just give something and check whether the permission is available or not. Okay, so we have the permission to create the connections, right? And then we will having the permission to monitor. We have system management. Let me go and set that. And we have ML scenario manager. You see, we don't have access to the pipeline modeler itself. And I think we don't have access to metadata management also, right? So you have to give the appropriate policies. Once you assign that particular policy, then we will be able to see the metadata management or the pipeline modeler. Yeah, you see, this is my user, but I will not be able to add the user, add the policies, do nothing. I'll just be able to see. That's it, right? You see here. Let me go to pipeline modeler. The pipeline modeler itself is not visible for me. If I go to see, there are certain applications for which the access is disabled for this default user. So I just wanted to show you, this is what the default user login access will look like. That is the member. And now let me go back and then see our original tenant. Just a second. All right. So what I do is, for this particular user itself, I'm just trying to add the metadata, right? I will just assign the metadata policy. Now I just refresh and the metadata is assigned. Now let us just take a look at that particular user. Now let me go to my home page. I will just re-log in. Right, now I'm able to see the metadata explorer. So I'm just able to access the metadata explorer. Now, how do you add the policies? Very simple. You'll be there is just a plus button, and you will be able to add the policies there. And but as of now, you will be able to add only this metadata admin and all those 4 policies, whatever we had seen. Apart from that, if you have to add any other policy, right? If you want to have your own custom policy, let me just quickly show you that as well. Yeah, we have to go to the system management tenant, and then from there we have to do it. So in the meantime, I will cover, I have to log on to the system management tenant, and I will show it to you. And in the meantime, I will just show you this particular information, which is very, very important. So now, right. So you are able to see my applications screen, right? That the application uses files and tenant, correct? Yeah. So if I go to files, right? If I go to files, so this is what I was talking about. So whatever pipelines that you create, it will be local to this particular system. And if you have to push it to the tenant workspace, so what you have to do is, so you go to my workspace. Say for example, we have Launchpad, preparations, and right. So say for example, we have the graphs, and we have some of the graphs I have in my user ID, which I have created. Say if I have data services graph, which I had already built it for you. Now, from here, I'll be able to move to the tenant workspace, right? So if you click on this move to the tenant workspace, other users will be able to see what the graph that you had created. Now, let us just go here and see what is there, right? Now, nothing is there. So let me just quickly go to the preparation, sorry, vFlow, graphs, and yeah, I'll just take this data services graph. I'll just move to tenant workspace. Move. Right. If I'm able to see, right, in the tenant workspace, you're able to see, right, the graph.
So now we would be able to see that, right?
Yes. Yes. Can you just check someone whether you're able to see it?
It comes in the others, right?
Sorry, you want to share your screen, Murli?
It comes in the others, right?
Yeah. Can you just check others? I don't know where it will get. So just go. Let me.
I think it will usually go to others actually. I don't see. Maybe let me refresh it one more time. I just opened it, but probably not. No, it's not there. Let me check the repository. I don't know which location you moved that.
I just moved it to vFlow. Just check when something called as vFlow is there in the repository.
Yeah, I do see data service graphs. In the graphs itself, it's there.
It's there. Huh? Oh, okay, excellent. Right.
Yeah, it's there actually. But then why it is not coming in the? Okay, maybe check in the data services. No, it is not coming in that actually. It's in the repository, but it is not coming up in the the graphs.
The JSON file is not available there.
There is a JSON file that is coming,
okay, let me
select all actually. So I did not even miss anything, including others and everything. So if I go to the repository, I send select graph. Oh, I think I need to import.
Probably we just check. I'll then probably I'll just try to. What about for others? Anyone else is testing it? Whether you're able to see it in your system or?
Yeah, I'm checking that.
Okay.
Does it have workflow, data services, job? I don't know whether it's a standard one or it's the one that created by you in that.
No, the standard one will not be available in your repository. Murali, it will be there in the this thing. Where, okay,
so you just created
let me try to move some other stuff. Okay, let me try to move some other to avoid the confusion.
Yeah, move it in the samples or like
Okay, so I'm just having this join operators, whatever we had shown yesterday, right? So let me just move this join operators. Yeah. So you will be able to files, vFlows, graphs, okay. Yeah. So I have.
See join operators. Yeah, I see the join operators too there. It's coming in the graphs. Sorry, in the repository. In the graphs. I think
you're able to open the JSON file, right? I mean, the graphs are coming.
I'm able to open the graphs, so that's not a problem. I think it won't show up in the any of our. I think unless until we take it and save it, it won't show up in others, I guess.
Yeah, but see, I mean, can you share your screen? I'll tell you.
Yeah, I think maybe if you want to make it a presenter, that's fine.
Oh, is it okay? The Zoom, it's okay, no problem. So let me just go quickly to this modeler. So
you can log in as mine and see it if you want.
No, it's okay. Anyway, it's in the repository only. You're telling, right?
Yeah, it's here. Anyway, repository is there. I can see those things.
Okay, fine. Okay, done. So this is what the concept is. I mean, at least you're able to see it in the repository, and then later on you can save it or create a new folder and then move it wherever you want, right?
Yeah.
So this is the concept about this thing. What happened? Let me. So I mean, nothing much from this particular screen team. So because even I basically work on application users and files, but tenant even I'm not sure what is this solution and all those stuff because I have not worked with this. Looks like these are all the images. Let me just try to go here. Yeah. Right. So I'll get back to you on this particular solutions and strategy perspective, but this is it from the major administration aspects. That is like in case if you have to respin or a new pipeline modeler instance, or the metadata explorer instance, you'll be able to do it from here, provided you have the access. Then how do we create a new user? And then you have seen, right, how to assign a policy for the user. You just go to that particular user, click on this plus, and then for me, no policies are there because I already have all the 4 policies defined, right? So now in case if I go for the test user that I have created, now I'll just go to this plus button. Now you see admin and developer. So these 2 policies are pending. If I want, I can assign the admin policy to this particular test user. Now I will probably, I will also show you, go inside the system management. I will also show you the monitoring tools like Grafana, Kibana, and the policy management, where you will be able to create a custom policy and then expose it, so that whenever you try to add a new policy, that policy, whatever you have created, will be exposed here, right? So I will just show you that as well. So, and this is pretty much it, right? So if you guys are okay, then probably we'll break for some time, and then we'll come back and we'll start with the other pending items.
Yeah, and do you have the information around the sizing, Venkat?
Yeah, I have the sizing slides, Murli. Yes.
Okay.
I have to go through it, but I will tell you whatever I have come across. I will definitely tell you.
Okay.
So all this while, what you were doing is you were logging in with the default tenant, right? So we also have one more tenant called as system tenant. So go to system tenant, and I give the users as system, and the password is password at 123, right? So I'll be able to, I have to remove this. Right, so I log on with the system user name and password and the system tenant. Now, where do you get this system username and password? During installation, it will ask you for 2 passwords. One is system tenant, system username and password, and default tenant, default username and password, right? So when during that screen, you have to give your system user and password. Now, as you see, we have system management, diagnostics Grafana, diagnostics Kibana, license management, and Aura tools, right? So just quickly take a few minutes to go inside this particular system management. Right now, you're able to see the applications here. Whatever you are able to see in that tenant, we are able to see it here as well, and we will be able to launch the instances from here as well, right? So we have Grafana, we have Kibana, right? And we have license management, system management, Vora tools applications as well. But you're not able to see the other applications like pipeline model, metadata management. So that will be available only in that particular default tenant, right? So I again go back. I'll just open this Grafana. Right, so I'm opening up this Grafana. Now you're able to see some statistics. Ready nodes is 100%. Now if you're able to see this here, right, 10.0.4.4.2.3.9, 10.0.3.5.1.4.4. So these are all the cluster nodes, on which my Kubernetes are running on. So if, say, for example, during the installation, as I had showed you, right, during the first day, if you remember, when we are deploying this Azure Kubernetes services, it will ask for the number of nodes, right? Either 1, 2, or 3. So say, for example, when I choose 3 nodes or 4 nodes or 5 nodes, so these are all nothing but the number of nodes, okay, that are running. Here you will be able to see the memory usage, how much memory is being consumed. vSystem is nothing but your SAP DI and the HANA. So HANA, SAP, I already told you, right? HANA is the database which is used by SAP Data Intelligence, and it is also coming along with the installation itself. It will get installed along with your major SAP Data Intelligence installation, right? So you remember, guys, I mean, when I was going and when I was showing you the pods, right, you were also able to see a HANA-0 pod. So that is nothing but your HANA pod. So HANA will be there inside that particular pod. Now, so how much is the diagnostic images are taking up your space? How much is Vora is taking up your space? How much is the CPU usage? How much is the volume usage? You see, probably one single page, you are able to see everything. So this is a proper, diagnostics and monitoring solution that is integrated with data intelligence, right? So this is the landing page. Now, if I click on that landing page, I'll be able to see few more, options. So we'll just see what is applications. So we see applications overview. We'll just see what are all the, application usage. So probably, all the applications within SAP Data Intelligence constitutes around only 0.6 percentage, right? And the total memory usage is around 9.2 percentage. And how many users are there? 12 users. So you see here we have 87 applications, right? 87 applications like Metadata Explorer. And inside Metadata Explorer, probably few of the components will be, and another application or another image. So it depends on how they have packaged, right? And now, what is the usage by user, CPU usage by user? You see, Anshuman, Ganesh, and Karthik, how much each individual users are using the CPU, how much they contribute to the CPU usage, how much they contribute to the memory usage, right? And how much they contribute to the application CPU usage, and how much they contribute to the application memory usage, right? Guys, just give me a second. I'm getting a call. Just 1 second. Huh? Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, and so this is the applications overview, correct? And now when we go to the Kubernetes cluster itself, if you go to the cluster overview, right? So we have the Kubernetes memory usage itself, the CPU usage, the file system usage, what is being occupied by the cluster itself, right? So we have the pod level details. So this is very important. This is what will be very helpful for your statistics. How much is the consumption via each pod? You see here HANA pod, right? So HANA's current consumption is somewhere around 0.0178 percentage. I think it's in yeah. So here we'll be able to see it as 0.08 percentage. Yeah. So here you will be able to see it via pod wise. Okay. So this is what it is, the Kubernetes level. So if you see here, what I wanted to basically show you is we have the launchpad, which gives you an overview of the entire statistics of DI. And even if you want to drill down, you can actually drill down into application level. You can drill down into Kubernetes level. What is the cluster usage? What is the consumption of each and every pod usage? So from here, it will be very useful. And there are also advanced feature as well, like alerting features. In case if my CPU usage reaches this particular threshold level, you will be able to easily configure all these settings, though I have not configured personally myself, but these options are available within Grafana, right? So you will be able to create your own dashboard, and then you see alert rules are there. So if you go here, you will be able to create your own alerts and add the notification channel, so that if your HANA usage has crossed this particular percentage of memory, then you will be able to send an alert to the administrator, so that then they will investigate what is the problem is, right? So this is the diagnostics Grafana, and probably let me check whether Kibana is also working. And yeah, I have not worked with Kibana, so this is the first time I'm also opening this configuration, but this will provide you the log level analysis of entire data intelligence applications, right? So in case if something goes wrong, how do you go to the Kubernetes pod level and get the logs of each and every image, why it is breaking down? Like, you remember when I told you in the first day why actually when you give the command the kubectl get pods, so all the pods will be displayed. Now if something is not working, some of your pods will be in crash loop backup state or error state or terminated state. So in those cases you have to get the logs of the entire pod. So in those cases you'll Kibana also will come into picture. It will be very handy for you, because this will even go at the container level log analysis. You'll be able to do the container level log analysis. So instead of manually hitting the Kubernetes logs from the deployment where you had done, you can easily come to the Kibana and then see the logs, what had happened at what time. You see these logs are continuously getting generated, right? What is the pod name? What is the log message? What is the container name, right? So you'll be able to see all those information using Kibana. So probably in order to summarize, Grafana is an overall monitoring solution to just see the health usage, CPU usage, memory usage, consumption, basically consumption of your resources with respect to DI application, and Kibana is for diagnostics purpose, log analysis. In case if something goes off, something is wrong, something is not working, you can come to Kibana and check the particular container or pod where it is failing or terminated or it is in crash loop backup state. So you can use these solutions, for that, for these purposes, right? So then let me go to license management. I'll just quickly show you what is the license that is available here. So this is nothing but the license that is available, that will automatically be available for you when you install DI. This is a proper HANA license that will be installed. Okay, this is not the DI license, but this is takes care of the HANA license. Okay, so now as of now, since HANA database is also installed, you know that a temporary license will automatically come whenever you install a HANA database, right? So for 90 days or 30 days, that particular temporary license will be applied for this DI system. So once you want to procure a long-term license, then you have to get in touch with SAP and they will be able to guide you through the process of acquiring a full-time license for this particular data intelligence. Right. So this is what I had to cover with respect to monitoring section. And yeah, we have something called as measurement records. This is nothing but your auditing records. So if I just click on this view details, we'll be able to see the details of this particular auditor, what it is being done. So these are all the different auditor components that are available for connection management. We have the resources like my S4 HANA DB, my core HANA DB. These are all the connections that we have already created. So auditing can be performed for all these resources, whichever is displayed here. Right? So this is what is measurement records is, and I think the auditing is already been done and is getting saved somewhere. So, right. And so this is on a nutshell what the administration is. So we saw the monitoring solutions, we saw the diagnostic solution, which is Kibana, we saw the license management, how to import a license, right? So how to import a license is very simple. Just click on this particular icon and then you will be able to see the license there. And you just have to and then once you get it. Now, so once that is done, then we will move on to the remaining of the pipelines that we have to cover now, right? So let me just go back to the previous screen. I will just come out of this incognito mode. Just give me a second. So any doubts you have with respect to this administration? Just give me a second. I'm just taking the list of pipelines that we have to cover now. I have logged in via my ID. Just a second, I'm just cross-checking the pipelines, what we have to cover now, and I think Ganesh has already pre-built in, he already told me that he will build this and he will show it to me. I'm just checking that. Right, so first I think we will cover the decode, table operator pipeline. So decode table is nothing but it will convert your incoming messages into the table type. So as of now, one example, what I could probably we can see it here, and then later on I will relate it to SAP Analytics Cloud this thing pipeline also, which we have built, because there also we will be using this decode table, right? So this is an input type message. So decode table will accept the input type as message, and then it gives the output as a table, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you can go and see the configuration. Okay.
Yeah, so it's message dot table type, right? So here also we'll be able to see. So now we will just try out an example here. So we can go to the read file, and I think we already have the employees underscore new dot CSV file, right? And then we execute this. Can anyone tell me what is this operator that we have here?
That's the one that converts that message into this.
Exactly. So this is the one which converts the incoming message to the supported input format of the decode table. Now we have the multiplexer. So now it's a very simple operation. So we are connecting it to the wiretap. Let me just
But
quickly.
then it seems that one goes as a table actually. If you, I think it's same sense as a file. If you click
So
that,
this is
yeah, if you click that operator, and I think if
the
you see that
decode table,
input
right?
format is CSV, yeah, it comes as CSV input format.
Yeah, correct. It accepts as an input format as a CSV only. Correct.
Okay. So then that okay, the other converter is
The
converting them.
output you say, right? The output is the different. So
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Mm-hmm,
The input it's taking as a CSV. So the messages, the operator which comes before the
mm-hmm.
transform operator that converts the message into a
Correct.
file format.
Yes, you're right. So we will just try to run this pipeline, and we'll just see.
And I think the SNS one also is there. I do see that. Yeah,
No. I think it is not completed, Murali. We did not have time to complete it. So we just you see nothing. I think we have some graph, but we did not have time to complete it. We wanted to show you this also, but we did not have time to complete it, or else we would have shown you that as well. Right. So I think that sample decode table is completed. So we'll just go to the wiretap and open the wiretap and check what is the format. Yeah. So you are able to see, right? We are able to read. We are able to read it from the Azure Blob Storage account. We are able to convert it into the table format and then send it to the wiretap. But here you will not be able to see much of a difference because wiretap will just gives you the input. But the main understanding of this pipeline is what is a decode table operator, what kind of input that it accepts, what is the output. So you will be able to relate it to much better when I show you the SAC graph, right? So we have, I think, a sample graph for SAC.
there is a one SAC. There is a one SAC there itself.
Yeah. I will show. See, I'll just open this. I will show you that also. I will run that graph. Okay. So why I will tell you because we have the SAC details there, and I will just show it to you, and then I will be able to run it, and then I will be able to show it to you in the SAC Analytics Cloud also, where the file will be placed. Right. So we have pushed to SAP. Yeah. Just a second. Just give me a second. Yeah. So this is the sample graph which is already available in the graph section, right? So if you see here, we are reading the file. Okay. So if I go here, we will be able to read a sample test.txt file, right? And then we give that to the decode table. Decode table will take that file from this particular location. It will convert to the required format. Now, what is the format? Okay, we have something called as SAP Analytics Cloud Formatter, and we have something called as SAP Analytics Cloud Producer. Okay, so this is how you have these two are all the operators that you required for you to push from any storage account to SAP Analytics Cloud. But this particular SAP Analytics Cloud formatter is there, right? So this will accept only the format message.table, and this decode table, I think as of now, if I'm not wrong, this is the only operator which gives this message.table output. I am not sure about other operators whether they have this message.table output or not, but this is the one which gives this. So what you do is you just give this as an input to the SAP Analytics Cloud formatter, right? We'll just see the configuration settings, whatever is available in the formatter. Now, if you see, we have to give the label as SAP Analytics Cloud Formatter. I mean, any name you can give. So my SAP Analytics Cloud, right? Now we have the tenant. So this is very, very important. Your tenant should be in this format, right? Say, for example, it should be in apj 10.c.ondemand.com, right? And then slash. So this is what my tenant is. Say for example, this is what my tenant is, my SAP Analytics Cloud tenant. Guys, you are aware of the fact that you will be able to create a sample tenant, I mean a trial SAP Analytics Cloud account for 90 days. In case if you want to test this out as well, you can create your own trial account and use that, and then you will be able to play around with the SAP Analytics Cloud tenant as well, right? So this is my SAP Analytics Cloud tenant. Now, what is the target data set? It's a new append or replace. So I will just give it as a new because this is the first time I'm going to extract it from the source database, and then I'm going to put it to the SAP Analytics Cloud target database, right? Now, what is the data set name? I can give the data set name as anything I want. Say, for example, my custom data set, right? My custom data set. So assume this is my dataset name. No, I'm not giving the actual details here because I don't, I have an SAC tenant, but I will not be able to give those details here. But what I can do is I have a flow ready, which I can execute it. I can go inside the SAC. I can show you where you have to check the file, right? So after this, after explaining these two operators, I will directly go to that particular operator. Sorry, I will just directly go to that pipeline, and then I will, execute that, and then I will show it to you in SAC how the same file from the source system you are able to see it in the SAC tenant. Got it? But from configuration perspective, this is what you have to do it in the SAP Cloud Formatter. SAP Cloud Formatter, in the SAP Cloud Formatter, what you are doing is you are giving the tenant name. Okay, to which tenant I have to push the data. What is the new data set name that I have to create in this tenant? What is the data set name? So these are all the configuration settings with respect to SAP Analytics Cloud Formatter, right? Now, the output of this SAP Analytics Cloud Formatter is a message type. Now, this message type, again, you have to consume it in SAP Cloud Producer, SAP Analytics Cloud Producer. So now, again, I go here, I give my label, my SAP Analytics Cloud Producer, any label, right? And host name. Okay, again, what is the host? Host is your tenant name, apj10.ce.ondemand.com. Whenever you create a SAP Analytics Cloud, it will be very similar to the ones what I had given you, probably EU10 or AU10, depending on the region where your tenant will get tenant will get spinned up, right? Which data center from where your tenant you will get. For example, if you go for a trial version, most of the times it will be from Europe. So you will be getting it as EU10. So APJ10 or EU10.ondemand.com, something like this, right? Your tenant or your host name will be this one, right? Now, we have something called as OAuth 2 flow, O authentication. Now, as of now, we have only one O authentication, that is access code. Via access code, you will be able to access the or push the data set to the SAP Analytics Cloud tenant. Now, we have four important parameters here. One is O authentication token URL, O authentication authorization URL, and O authentication client ID, and then client secret. Okay, now where do you get these details from? You will get these details from SAP Analytics Cloud. Okay, you will get these details from SAP Analytics Cloud. You just have to go to SAP Analytics Cloud, log on to SAP Analytics Cloud, go to administration, then there will be a section called as app integration. Okay, there will be a section called as app integration. Now, using that app integration, you will be able to create a new client ID. First of all, you have to create a new client ID. Now, once you create a new client ID, it will ask you what is the mode that you want to go. Just select the mode as API access mode. Okay, there will be something called as API access mode. I cannot really show you that because it is very confidential, and only the the tenant administrator will have access to it. Say, for example, from your company, someone will raise a request, right, to get the corporate SAC account. Only that particular person will have access to this. Rest of the people will not even have access to this because this is very, very sensitive data, right? So, but I'm just telling you the steps, right, so that you are able to see my notepad file, right? You are able to see notepad.
No, not the notepad. Still the.
Okay, fine. Then probably I will just tell it. You can just make a note of it. So SAP Analytics Cloud, you just log on to it, go to administration. There will be a section called as app integration, right? Once you go to the app integration, what you have to do is you have to create a new client ID with API access mode. Then once you create the client ID, there will be something called as redirect URL. In the redirect URL, you have to give your SAP Data Intelligence tenant. So this is the tenant ID. Sorry, this is the tenant URL. The whatever URL that you log on to DA, right? This is what the redirect URL to be. So this is a very simple concept of our O authentication token method. How we are going to grant the access for this particular users to push the data set to the SAP Analytics Cloud, right? So you have to give the redirect URL to this particular data intelligence tenant. Now, once that is done, you will be able to get the client ID. You will be able to get the client secret. Just paste your client ID and paste your secret here. Now, for these configuration settings, right? Token URL, authentication URL, and then OAuth to client ID. This will already be there. As soon as you go to SAP Analytics Cloud, just click on administration, go to app and app integration. By default, it will be there. In the top of the screen only, you will be able to view all these three items: token URL, authentication URL, and then these two: token URL and authentication URL. The only thing that you have to do is additionally is create a client ID and client secret using the mode as API access, and give the redirect URL as SAP Data Intelligence URL, right? So now once that is done, right, so your SAP Analytics Cloud producer is also ready. Now when you run this, you will be able to push your data set from the source to the target tenant. Got it? Any doubts here?
No.
Okay.
I think it's a typical setup, right? Like, everywhere, like, you have the source systems or wherever that you're consuming, you should have a credentials created there and come and link it.
Yes. It's very easy, Murali. It's very easy. So you just have to give the required configuration there, and you'll be able to run it. I'm just running this simple graph, and let me show it to you. See, hardly you have 6 parameters. Here, in the SAP Cloud Formatter, you are giving the tenant name, and in the SAP Cloud Formatter, you are giving, in the Cloud Producer, you are giving the client ID, secret, and the OAuth token URL, and then OAuth one more secret. What is that? Those two: authentication URL and the token URL. Okay, so only those two IDs you have to give, which is already available. Additionally, what you have to do is, hardly it will take 5 minutes to create a client ID and secret. That's it. It will be there. Just copy and paste it. It will definitely work, right? Yeah. So just a second. Let me run this push to SAP pipeline. Right. So if I run this pipeline, let me. Okay. Is it like the empty one? Okay, just a second. So I'm just trying to run that pipeline once again. Let me check whether it is running or not. And in the meantime, let me try to open it, and then I want to show you a few things here. Okay, so some connection issues. I'm just resetting the connection. Just a second. I'll just run this. Okay, So you're able to see the SAC one that I'm running now, right? So we have the read file operator. So we are trying to take the country's updated file, and then we are pushing it to SAP Analytics Cloud, right? So before that, what has to happen is I will just click on this SAP Analytics Cloud formatter, right? Now we are using a authentication mechanism. So it's a token based mechanism. So first we have to right click and then click on open UI. The very first time whenever you open the URL, right? The very first time whenever you run this pipeline, you have to right click on the producer and then click on. So we authorization grant access token request. So I am granting the permissions here, right? So now my something is wrong here. Should accept. Okay, let me check this wiretap. Okay, so I think some configurations, some slight issues there, but let me just explain you what is going to happen. So you just click on this right click producer, like as I had shown you, right? That token mechanism, that token will come. You have to click on the token, then you will be permitted access to publish your dataset to SAP Analytics Cloud. Then what you have to do is you have to stop this particular pipeline and then you have to run it again. So when you run it again, then it will publish the dataset. So the first time when you run, just right click this SAP Cloud Analytics producer. There will be a authentication token. Just click on that button. So your token will be ready. It will be valid for 1 hour or 2 hours, depending on what configuration that you gave in SAP Analytics Cloud. Using that token, n number of times you can run this pipeline, right? And then you stop the pipeline and then you run it. So the first pipeline, for the first time you're running, get the token, stop the pipeline, then next time you run it, it will be published in your SAP Analytics. Okay, so this is what it is. I think we are having some minor issues. I'm not able to do it. Probably.
What is that? What is that? If you click the operator thing, it gives some log or something, right? The first one.
This one,
screen.
right?
No. Here in the same, the SAC consumer.
Okay.
If you click that, and what is that first one? Above the configuration, is there a log or something it shows?
No, this is the one that is. It opens up a window. Okay, so it opens up a window. So I think it is able to accept it. And now let me stop this and run it again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I think we are able to see this particular data in this wiretap, right? So graph is running, graph is not running. Okay.
Not running.
Yeah, let it run. I thought it was in running state. Right, so open UI. Yeah, it's running fine. We'll just check this particular wiretap once. Now it should work. I think this also will work. So if you could give me a second, I will open SAC and then I will show you the file. Okay, we'll just see what is the file name that has been given here. My country sac.csv. Okay. But yeah, I mean, see, I don't want to show you it. It'll already be there in SAP Analytics Cloud, right? Anyway, this is running. We don't have any issues. So, okay. So now you got the overall understanding of SAP Analytics Cloud pipeline, right? Through which you will be able to run this.
So when it goes, it is in analytical cloud, it will go, and then in that area just goes a file, right? And then they can able to show that.
Yes, it goes. Yeah, it goes as a file. So in SAP Analytics Cloud itself, if you have access to it, there will be a files section separately. Just click on it, and your file will be uploaded there.
Okay.
Right. So now we are done with this particular SAP Analytics Cloud pipeline, which has the decode operator also. Now let me. What else is pending? So let me go to the repository. Let me go to the sample. So SLT connector and all we have already seen, right?
Yeah.
You have seen everything. Join operators, notification. HANA monitor has been informed. HANA monitor is shown.
HANA monitor, yeah, I saw that yesterday.
Okay. So
histograms. We haven't seen the histograms. If you do mind showing that.
okay, so histograms. Let me stop this. Let me run this. What this is a simple bar one. I have not worked with this histogram. Let me check number of bins, plotter, and we'll just open it here. So, I mean, it's good that we have completed all the complex pipeline yesterday. So I think the ones that are pending is very simple, which yeah. So what is happening here is we have the data generator, right? Whatever we had seen yesterday, right? So we are just giving that as an input to histogram, and then we are just giving the number of bins. So what is number of bins is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the number of bins, and the range minimum is 2. The range minimum is 2, and the maximum is 9. Right? So maximum is 9, and so this is what we are configuring in this histogram plotter. Sorry, in this histogram operator. Then we go to the histogram, and then we just join these two operators, and then you will have the histogram plotter ready. So what are all the values that are coming in? If the data generator is generating some values between 2 to 5, then this bin will be updated. If the data generator is generating some like 10, 9 or some values, so it will be updated in that particular range, right? So this is what it is. If you see, this is constantly updated because we have a data generator. Every 500 milliseconds, the data will be generated randomly, and based on what kind of data that it is getting as an input, these bar will be updated automatically. So this is what is histogram plotter, right? So I think in the meantime, I'll just cover the sizing, and then I will see if there are any other pipelines that are left. I don't think any other pipelines that are left. We have covered almost all the operators, whatever has been conveyed, and even on top of it, additionally we have conveyed it, right? So just give me a second. I will open the sizing. So anyone has any questions till now?
No. So I think it's a lot of information actually, to be honest. So let's cover that up with all the things, and then if they have any specific questions, probably we can just discuss through it.
Yeah. So I know that it is these 4 days would have been very overwhelming for you all, but request you to practice a lot, because only when you practice you will be able to get the required experience, or else it will be a little bit difficult, right? So in case Murali, if you need any assistance from us, right, let us know. If you want to set up the tenant, get in touch with Alok. We are all there for you.
Sure, definitely. That's great. Jim, if you have any questions, then feel free to stop anytime in between and ask Venkat. Or if you would like to know anything more, or
so basically, Murali, do we have the training session videos, and then apart from that, the generic BI related training videos, or the developer videos or something will be available in any place? I don't see anything in the SAP also, so it's like that's what I just want to know that.
no. So this training videos I have asked, Alok. So hopefully we'll share that, because I think they are going through some process, and I think probably they would be share that. Probably if there any content or anything they want to remove it, or clear that out. Not sure what is the kind of hygiene process they are going to follow right now there. So once I get the recordings, I will share. I think PPTs I have shared, like, all the PDFs about these materials. And then we would have something in the Learning Hub. If there is anything, it will be in the Learning Hub. That's the only place we can able to see it at this point. We might need to find out that we have to try it on our own based on what we learn. I think that's how it is.
Yeah, Karthik, see, in case if you want to develop certain stuffs, right, we have also shown you how you can develop your own custom operators, where it can be used, right? So depending on the scenario that you are going to work on, you can sit and decide how I can build a custom operator, how I can attach this to any other operator. See, the first and foremost important criteria is understanding the business scenario, right? Say, for example, if we are going to go for a replication scenario, real-time replication scenario, so what are all the operators that are required in place? Now, okay, fine. SLT operator is required, above operator is required. Now, what is the next customer's requirement? From this particular source to that, the target, source A to target A. Now, is source A supported with respect to data intelligence? Yes. What should I do? No. What should I do? Is target supported by data intelligence? Yes. What should I do? No. What should I do? Where and how should I have to create custom operators? How I should link it? So this is what you have to build yourself, right? So because, see, we have been working with multiple customers. We have a lot of scenarios, but your scenario would be totally different. Like what you had told yesterday, right? One of your customers came back with the scenarios. So it was not there, but at the same time for table replication, SAP Data Intelligence Life made very easy for you. Just one single operator, few configurations, your replication itself is done, right? So it depends. So you have to design, sit and decide what is the scenario, what I have to develop.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so we have just laid out the foundation. Okay, so we have given you all the Lego blocks for you. What you want to build, how you want to build, you have to decide. But the necessary raw materials and ingredients we have already provided to you. If it is feasible with DI, you can go ahead with DI. If it is not feasible with DI, then probably you should know that it is not feasible with the DI before moving on with other solutions. Right? Say this is not possible in DI. Now we have to move to other solutions. So that is one of the important analysis that you have to do before confirming that I am going to use other solutions for this.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Really, system access will be revoked by today.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we got only for 4 days. So we have to, basically it's like Pradeep is already looking into it and to see whether within our infrastructure, how we can able to get it. If that's not, then we have to wait until the client system to come up, which we are expecting probably like in another week or 2. So we should be able to get access there and we can try it out, certain things. But I don't know whether we would be able to have this much access, but at least like developer access would be given to us. So whatever we could able to do with that, we could able to try that.
Okay.
Yeah, so people probably who are in US, you can use the system till today. People who are in India, so tomorrow morning 9 a.m. this will be dismantled.
Okay, Venkat. Okay.
Yeah. So probably you can, in case whatever you want to do, probably you can spend some extra time after our training. So after the sizing, probably we will have some spare time to discuss on Q&As, or if you want to play around with the system or any questions, so we can use that time and then we can close it off, because we had pretty much covered everything, I feel. Right. So after the sizing. Right. So I wanted to tell you about installation also, what are all the components, but I think it will take more time. Because if you guys want a separate session for that, and if you want to help us, or help you out with the installation, we are ready and we will be able to do that as well. So we can also give you a training on how to do the installation, so that shouldn't be a problem. All right, so that next time when you have to reinstall or uninstall and then do another installation, you yourself can easily do it.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to visit our Vimeo page and follow for more upcoming videos.